Hey, hello, everybody. All right. So this is me taking on a new adventure because I'm having problems with my normal streaming. And so I was like, sweet, this is an opportunity. I only have a few minutes, but let's go live. Let's get something recorded so that people who follow me on YouTube and the other platforms can potentially get access to something that's on my mind when something else is broken. So here we are. I don't have my fancy backdrop. Why? Because I'm not recording in the same way. I am live right now. What that means is every error I make, you're going to see, which is not uncommon. I make a lot of mistakes and I actually don't hide them. The other thing that you might notice is the sound is a little bit different. I did not set up my mic since I'm just testing this out. I thought, what the heck? Let's just do quick mode so that I can move on, because in just a few minutes, I'm going to have somebody hanging out here. I'm going to be doing a session. And so I've got to be able to shift gears pretty quickly. Without further ado, let me tell you what I wanted to come in here and share with you. We are seeing a whole bunch of stuff about two people, Karmelo Anthony and Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The world is going nuts. Actually, not really. It's more of our politicians and then a whole bunch of people who, frankly, probably have their heads up their rear ends. They are going crazy. And why are they going crazy? Well, they're going crazy because of the tip of the day. Their head is in their rear. The tip of the day is it's okay to pull your head out of your butt. And you can do it right now. You don't even have to wait. And why do I say it that way? Look, these two situations are extraordinary situations. These are not ordinary situations. If we use ordinary measures, ordinary approaches to extraordinary situations, we are going to fail. We will fail. 100% of the time, we will fail. And why does that matter? Well, when we have two extraordinary situations, and people want to use the ordinary processes, you're going to end up with dysfunction. So we'll start with the Kilmar Abrego Garcia. We have the most conservative estimates. We have about 7 million illegal immigrants since 2020, and that is conservative. Some would suggest we're closer to the 20 million illegal immigrant mark. Well, let's go with 7 million illegal immigrants. I did some basic math. I'm talking about just rudimentary, basic addition, subtraction, division, multiplication. And here's what I came up with. 7 million immigrants since 2020, conservatively. Let's say at 5 minutes each, 5 minutes, a judge was able to rule whether they belonged here or did not belong here. 5 minutes, which, by the way, I don't think it would ever be that small. It would be nearly 3 million hours of work. With approximately 700 immigration judges, they would each have to put in 4,166 hours. That's at 40 hours a week, approximately 2 years each. Each of them would have to do about 2 years worth of work just to deal with what is here since 2020. Those are illegal immigrants. We're not talking people with green cards and work visas, and we're talking about illegal immigrants. Now, using that basic math a little bit further, what I can tell you is that we have an extraordinary situation, not an ordinary situation. So when people talk about due process, let's be real. That's great under ordinary circumstances. It is not great under extraordinary circumstances like we're in right now. It's not going to work. We're at best, if everything went perfectly, we are at best 2 years worth of dealing with all the illegal immigration that is here right now. So I am not a homer for the administration. I'm just not. What I can tell you, though, is that under the current circumstances that was set up by the previous administration, extraordinary measures will have to be used in order to balance the ship. It's going to have to be something that we are not used to. And that might mean we're batching people. And maybe a judge will do what has been done here. They will batch them together and say, this 500 is approved for deportation. No matter what we do, I can guarantee you this: there will be mistakes. Even if we go to the normal due process methodologies, the ordinary, and pretend that this is an ordinary situation. The biggest mistake we're going to make there, like, think about it, folks, it's not that hard to see, is we're dealing with an extraordinary situation in an ordinary way. Here, let me paint it for you like this. If you were to come up on an accident scene, cars rolled, people, hurting, screaming, crying, crushed and blocked in and can't get out of their vehicles, and you were to walk up and you were to say, therapy style, hey, how you doing? Yeah, how does that feel? Yeah, what do you want to do about that? What do you think we should do about that? Oh yeah, that blood is coming out awfully fast. Yeah, that kind of looks like it hurts a little bit. Yeah, maybe we should come up with a plan. Do we want to write this down on a pad of paper? Yeah, you can't really write right now. Yeah, I'll write it down for you. Look, folks, if you know how absurd that sounds, you're not very far off understanding how absurd it sounds to deal with the extraordinary immigration issues that we have right now in an ordinary way. It's not going to work. It's dysfunctional. Now, let's go on to the Karmelo Anthony thing. Jump and ship, because this is a different kind of extraordinary. Look, my heart goes out to Kilmar and Karmelo. Why? Because they are people. Set that aside. Not that I'm saying they're not people, but set that aside. They are people with unique situations, and they need to be treated as such. With Karmelo Anthony, I can feel bad for a kid being imprisoned. I don't like that idea. And yet we have a kid who stabbed another kid to death. That created an extraordinary situation. To deal with this as anything less than an extraordinary situation would be foolish, naive, and frankly, unacceptable. And if you think we can, well, you should probably pull your head out of your butt. Simple as that. Why? We have a kid who made a decision. His decision was unacceptable. Culturally, in every culture across the globe, there are some universal truths, right? A smile is a smile wherever you go. There are certain things that are universally true. And when you murder somebody, that is considered socially and culturally unacceptable. Now, there is a difference between murder and killing, and I know the difference. We could get into that conversation at a later date. But what I can tell you is, as of right now, we know that justified killing is something that is super different. It's a different kind of extraordinary. In this case, clear as day, based on everything that I have heard, the police reports, which you can access parts of that already, right? Like, this is not hard to figure out. Now, why are we treating this like it's anything less than extraordinary violence? That just seems weird. Now, a lot of people are going to go into their whole race baiting thing here at this point, and they're going to be like, well, it's a black kid and a white kid, and okay, what difference does that make? Well, some people have been bullied and picked on and harassed, and true. That's not the question, though. The question here is, at what point does picking on somebody or bullying somebody, because some people like to use that, what actually sounds so far like it's more propaganda than it is actual reality. But let's say it is reality. Let's assume for a second it is reality. To escalate it to physical violence where somebody is getting stabbed in the chest many times, at what point does that ever equate to acceptable? Now, if we get into a situation where in the jury of people were to sit there and say, look, he was trapped, he couldn't get out of the situation, it was verifiably trapped, maybe other kids were surrounding him and pushing him into the situation, and he felt like his life was being threatened, which, by the way, none of this seems to be reality as to what happened. But let's say that we did end up in that situation. I would be willing to consider changing my mind, because being threatened with your life, it does change everything. That would be an extraordinary situation that requires an extraordinary response. See how this works, folks? I hope this is helping. For those of you who are going to see this live, well, thank you. Those of you who are going to join later on and check this out, man, I hope what you're taking to heart here is the simple reality. If you have an extraordinary situation, you cannot use ordinary methodologies. If you have ordinary situations, you should never use extraordinary methodologies. So what that means, going back to the situation with the immigration, it means that as soon as we resolve the immigration issues from the last 4 years, we need to go back to the ordinary processes. Otherwise, we risk becoming dysfunctional. We use extraordinary solutions to ordinary problems. We don't want to do that. That's how nations can fall apart. So if there are people out there that want to push an issue, what I would suggest, this would be my recommendation from a psychological, sociological, cultural lens. My recommendation would be that you push for the extraordinary to have a limited time of use. That in, let's say, 1 year, the extraordinary methodologies get put back in the closet to be pulled out at a later date, if and when necessary, because we have a new extraordinary situation. To me, that's the most reasonable option we have on the table. Hey, I know we went live. I didn't let anybody know. Normally, this is one of my times that I would record, and I couldn't do it. So I thought going live would be a great alternative. Let me know what you think. Thank you for those of you who joined us along the way, jumped in, jumped out. I saw that. Some of you have you've been good followers for a while. Please like, subscribe, check out our other videos. We try to help people live better lives and do better things. That's it. No secret agenda here at Healthy Perspectives. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful day.